What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Mike and Doug podcast presented by, you guessed it, Mike and Doug. I'm Mike.
And I'm Doug.
And this is a podcast where we share the stories and journeys of athletes all around the globe at all different levels.
And we hope that these stories inspire and motivate you in your own journey.
We hope you enjoy this podcast. Please follow us on Instagram at Mike and Doug Pod. All right, everyone, please welcome professional golfer Carter Morgan.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, guys.
For sure.
Good.
How you been doing?
Good. Things are good. Just kind of bearing the winter weather of Virginia right now, so it's freezing outside. Can't do a whole lot, but
It's not golfing weather. I see you practicing indoors at PA.
yeah, indoors like 4 or 5 days a week. I'll get outside if it's 45 or 50 degrees, but
What is it? Just a TrackMan in there? I see
yeah,
it's like
just a track. It's TrackMan. And they just basically put up a net in one of the rooms and
Nice.
you play games and stuff on it.
at least something to do during
Yeah,
this
it's not too
weather.
bad.
That's sweet. Cool. Well, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself? Obviously, some of you may know Doug, I, and Carter. We were teammates here at ODU on the golf team for 3 years, I believe, right?
3 years, yep.
Yeah, 2018 to 2021.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you want to do that, go ahead for it. Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Tappahannock, Virginia. It's just a really small town, about 45 miles northeast of Richmond, which is the state's capital. So grew up in a pretty rural area, small town, only really one golf course around. So thankfully I was, super fortunate to be able to play over at Hobbs Hole Golf Course. The head pro over there, Troy Thorne, he actually played at Old Dominion as well, and he was, the biggest catalyst, I'd say, in my development as a player, giving me the opportunity to play there, for free, and play there as much as I want, hit as many balls as I want, play as many rounds as I want.
Yep.
That's really kind of the situation you need to get in, but I was fortunate enough to be able to do that.
That's phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah, so just played high school golf. Well, played soccer as well, but mainly golf.
Do you have any goals in high school that you wanted to play college?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to play college golf from, I had known that since middle school.
Sure. What age did you pick up golf?
I first started playing, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old.
Sure.
I wouldn't say I started taking it serious until I was maybe 6th or 7th grade. Started traveling around playing 2 or 3 tournaments a year. And then once I got to high school, I started, really thinking about, okay, I'm going to go play college golf, so I need to, start building my resume a little bit. So,
Right.
but yeah, I always knew I wanted to play in college. Didn't know which level. I just knew I wanted to play.
And
Regardless.
how was that, recruiting journey?
It was a little tough. Coming from a very rural area, a lot of coaches kind of under recruit, I'd say, in rural areas. So there's a lot of good athletes from my area that end up going to, NAIA Division III, Division II, which there's nothing wrong with that. But they may be on a higher level than that, but they just get kind of recruited lower because they're not near a city or anything. But
there's just less people.
There's just less people. A lot of people, like for me, I didn't come from a golf family necessarily, so I didn't really know like what events to play in. Like I never played any AJGAs. I pretty much just kind of played the VSGA, Virginia State Golf Association. I played their little circuit, which looking back, you kind of needed to branch out a little more if you're going to get recruited.
Play national tournaments.
Play tournaments in other states. Play AJGAs.
For sure.
That's how you're going to get noticed by coaches.
I guess you put your name on the map out there. Just
get your name in as many places as possible, many states as possible.
Yeah.
Just the more people see your name, regardless of what you're shooting, it's never a bad thing to just have your name out there, have your brand out there. So
yeah, and did you ever play any like USGA, like US Junior stuff like that, qualifiers?
Only once.
Okay,
I was 17. I played the US Junior Am qualifier, and actually did okay.
Yeah.
I think I finished like 15th or something, but only like 3 got in. But that was the only year I was eligible. I think 2 years later, they changed it to 18 years old.
Yeah,
but
really?
when I was 18, I couldn't play because it was 17 and under. So.
Damn.
Yeah, because you have a late birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So then, from high school golf, you went to college? Where'd you go?
Yeah, so I went to a small Division III college. At the time, it was Virginia Wesleyan College. Now it's Virginia Wesleyan University.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, so it was a college my first year. But I was pretty much the only schools I really talked to were like Division III schools in Virginia. They were all in the ODAC conference. Like Randolph-Macon, Lynchburg, Virginia Wesleyan, Shenandoah. Just that was kind of the level I was at that time in the recruiting process. So I was like, I don't really care what level I'm at. I just want to play.
Yeah. So how was that D3 experience?
It was actually really good. Made a lot of really close friends at Virginia Wesleyan, and it was pretty competitive. We had a solid team. We were consistently, inside the top 50 in the country for D3. So I mean, we won 2 or 3 events. We competed with some top 25 teams a lot. So it was still really good competition. I was able to still develop as a player, which was good.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the biggest thing is that you just want to play. I know a lot of kids go to these D1s, these 2 schools that are highly ranked, but they don't play, and they can't improve because they don't play.
Yeah, I can't stress it enough. Playing is the most important thing. Like, you have to go somewhere where you are going to play 90+% of the events.
Because golf is just a individual sport to where it's like you're playing the golf course, so you're not playing anyone else, so you just got to beat the golf course.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of guys that have made it to the PGA Tour from NAIA, Division III, Division II. Like some of the top D2 and D3 schools in the country are very, very, very talented. So there's talent at all levels.
Yeah, and I feel like just because that's where you start doesn't mean that's where you're going to finish.
Correct.
Per se, and I think especially if you want to play professional, you need to be playing and developing. And because there's something to be said for maybe going for like a year, like similar like to what I did coming here. It was harder for me to play because I was a walk-on, and I think it made me better because I was playing against all you guys who were a couple years older than me, much better than me. I started golfing late and whatever, but so there was a positive to that. But and I had a we had some great experiences, and still I got to play 3 events my freshman year and then with my sophomore year and everything. So I got to play, but I definitely do sometimes think about like, man, I wish I could have gotten like maybe more of the full experience playing every event, or like because I think that would have probably made me better playing more than practicing at home and even just not being able to play. But I think there is still something to be said for pushing yourself and playing against people that are better than you. But you just have to decide what is for you and that. But yeah.
Then after Carter, you said you transferred to ODU. How many years was that after Wesleyan?
Yeah, I played 2 years at Virginia Wesleyan, and it was actually pretty crazy how I transferred.
Right. Yeah. It was.
I technically didn't transfer to ODU until I think it was like the second week of August, like legit 2 weeks before school started. So I was fully planning on I was just gonna stay at Virginia Wesleyan, play my 4 years, graduate, get a job, move on with life, play amateur golf. That was kind of just my plan. Had a really good summer. I believe it was 2018. Yeah, 2018. Had a couple really good finishes. Made it pretty deep in the Virginia Amateur. Like top 20 in the Eastern Amateur. So, and I had some buddies that were playing at Division I schools that were kind of chatting with me like, hey, have you thought about transferring to the Division I level? And I was like, yeah, I have, but I just haven't had that
Opportunity.
I honestly thought it was just too late. I was like, it's July, like teams fill up their rosters a year or more in advance.
2, yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way that that a coach would take somebody in like me. I mean, it's worth a shot. So after talking to some guys, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. So I reached out to I only reached out to Old Dominion, but I was planning on also reaching out to another school in Virginia, but I reached out to Old Dominion just because it was in the same area as Virginia Wesleyan. I kind of just wanted to stay. Yeah, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
As I said, I had a lot of really good friends at Virginia Wesleyan and made a lot of good relationships there. So I didn't really necessarily want to leave the area. So thankfully, Coach Murray, he reached back to me, and they had a unique situation where they had 2 kids on the team, one of which, came down with an illness and was not able to return, international student, so was not able to come back to the States. And then another student, was struggling with grades, so he, was ineligible. So they were down to, was it seven guys? They were down to 7 guys. Normally Coach Murray likes to keep 9. So my coach, Rick Bidnick at Virginia Wesleyan was nice enough to reach out to Coach Russell for me, and Coach Russell, responded immediately and was like, actually we really could use a walk-on. We're down 2 guys, and Carter just got a pretty decent resume, so what the heck, we'll give him a walk-on spot. So that's kind of how it started at Old Dominion, and I didn't know what was going to transpire after that. I just knew that, this is a really good opportunity, an opportunity where, if I do play well, I could get a scholarship, help my parents out, try to get my school paid for. So
then once you get here, you play every event for the next 2 years. And
so I didn't really know what to expect. Came in, I didn't really know what to think. I was on a team. Half the guys on the team were international, and I had never played golf with anyone from another country prior to this.
Yep. And
I come in, and my roommates are from South Africa, Spain, and Sweden, and I'm just like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
It was really good though. Everybody kind of welcomed me with open arms, which was good.
Yeah, I remember just the opportunities it opened up, because the first tournament we traveled to on a plane was to Firestone in Akron, and that was the first time you ever flew on a plane.
Yeah. So I was 21 years old the first time I ever got on an airplane.
I remember that because our assistant coach, Coach Marple, asked the pilot, and he took you to the cockpit and gave you the little wings.
Yeah, gave me my flight wings. I got to see the cockpit. It's normally something that's like a 10-year-old experiences, but it was weird. I was 21, but
that's funny.
It was pretty cool. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I was a little bit of a nervous flyer, starting.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of over it now. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was cool. It's Division III level. There's not as much funding, so you pretty much just kind of drive everywhere. You play tournaments that are within a 10-hour drive of your campus. Really, you're not going to Arizona or California or wherever.
Florida.
Yeah. We never went to Florida. Furthest we went was Atlanta. It's 9 hours. Most of our events were North Carolina, Virginia. Yeah.
Interesting.
So then you end up winning 2 tournaments, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I finished. I won 1 outright, and then was co-medalist.
So why did they do a playoff? What was up with that?
Yeah, I don't really know. We were dealing with COVID. This was my 5th year. I ended up I was able to stay, obviously, because of the NCAA granted the extra year of eligibility. So my 3rd year at Old Dominion was my 5th year playing collegiate golf. I don't know. I tied for first, and cool. I was fully prepared for a playoff, and then our coach was like, "Yeah, there's no playoff, so go medalist."
Sent you the trophy in the mail?
Yeah, I got the trophy 4 months later in the mail.
I guess that's fair. They gave the real one to Pontus.
Pontus. He's
couldn't have tied with a better player.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest thing. Pontus Nyholm. He's got status on the Korn Ferry Tour right now, and this was 7-8 months ago we tied. So he is a very, very, very good college player. He was ranked in top 25 in the country or so.
He was.
Tying with a player like that was wow, okay, maybe I am good enough to go to the next level.
Did you ever think transferring to a D1 school at ODU? Did you ever think you'll win a tournament?
Honestly, no. I really didn't. I had won. So prior to Old Dominion, I had won 1 golf tournament in my entire life. And it was...
That's how golf is, though.
It
You
was
lose
golf.
way more than you win.
It was the tournament we hosted at Virginia Wesleyan, and it had like 4 teams. There was like 35 players.
What course was it?
Sleepy Hole Golf.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
And I think I shot like 1 over and won by like 3. You know, it was technically a win, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
It was cool though, because I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the first time I've ever won a golf tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the greatest feeling ever. But then looking back, it's like, wow, I
mean, you got to start some.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, you know.
Golf is so hard to win a
Yeah.
tournament because, as Mike said, you play so much events. Like, you lose all your events.
Yeah.
And like,
You have to get used to losing a lot.
mm-hmm.
I mean,
You know, you have to get used to losing 99% of the time,
Yeah.
really. You know, unless you know, I mean, there's, you know,
Tiger
the
Woods.
handful of guys that, you know,
Mhm.
they have you know, that ability at a young age to just win. You know, I
Yeah.
was not one of those kids. I was more of a just like middle of the pack. You know, if you have a good week, you might finish 10th or something like that. But never really sniffed winning.
Yeah.
Um,
So after your 5th year, what was your plan? What was in your mind? What did you want to do?
So I actually knew my senior year, my 4th year, that I wanted to play pro golf. So that was good. I was able to play an extra year and still kind of be able to kind of plan ahead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had that extra year to, you know, continue to get better, get my degree.
Yep.
And what did you start thinking about? Do you think was it after that win at the VCU Invitational that you were kind of like, man, I could probably like really do this?
So it was actually a couple months prior.
That's right. You had a
So
great summer.
I
That's right,
played.
yeah.
So that summer, the summer after my first year at Old Dominion, I qualified for the USAM.
Yep. I remember that because I caddied for it.
Yeah, Doug.
Because we made it. I at the time I thought it was a stupid bet, and I told
I
Carter.
remember when you made that bet in the guy's apartment.
I told Carter that it's like, hey, if you qualify, I'll fly back because I was in Kansas City at the time. I'll fly back to caddy for you at the USM at Pinehurst, and I thought him at the time. I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna qualify because it's like, what is it? How many kids for how many
was
spots?"
like 70 kids for 2 spots.
So I'm like,
you pretty much like in years past, you got to shoot like 9, 10 under.
Yeah.
You know, to get through.
And then I remember I was driving back from Hutchinson, Kansas to Kansas City, and I get a phone call. And it was Carter, and he's like, "Hey, Doug, you're gonna come caddy for me because I qualified."
We were in the car because I drove that day because I played as well. So me and Carter
Yeah.
carpooled, and I drove us up there.
carpooled up there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Mike.
And then Carter's like, "All right, Mike, take my picture with the trophy." And I was like, "Got you." That was funny.
Yeah, and then you called me, and I was like, "I guess I got to come." And I came back early to school, and we drove down to
God
Pinehurst.
Yeah. We trucked it down to Pinehurst, which
And
it was the perfect USAM to qualify for because it was only 4 hours away.
Yeah.
You know, the year before was out in Pebble Beach, and then the year after was out in Bandon Dunes.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
man, I mean, that would have been expensive, you know,
Yeah.
Sure.
going out west. But thankfully, we could drive to Pinehurst.
And that was a fun experience. Like just seeing all those
Yeah.
great amateur
Didn't you guys stay
players.
at like the Quality Motel or
Yeah,
something?
yes, we mini toured it really. Like the first 2 nights before my parents came down, we stayed at like the Quality Inn, you know.
Then I had McDonald's for one dinner because you went out because it was, I think it was the player dinner at the club, and I was like, all right, it's like I'm just gonna stay here. And I remember ate McDonald's, and I just chilled in the room.
Yeah. So to kind of touch on that was kind of a weird night because, as I said, like I had never really played any high level golf like that ever, and you know, most of these kids that are qualifying for the USAM, like this is like not their first USAM, this is not their first USG event.
Big,
all these kids know each other, right?
Right.
So I go into this player dinner and it's like Akshay Bhatia, Cole Hammer, they're all like hanging out, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I don't know anyone. Like, who do I hang out with? Like all these kids are like studs, you know, top 100 in the world, just hanging out together, and here I am. It's my first time ever playing an event like this, but it was a cool overall experience. I didn't play great, but I learned a lot about what it takes to shoot a good score on a like major championship golf course.
And I can attest to this. That golf course, Pinehurst number 2 and 4 are stupid. The way it was playing, It was just stupid.
So,
Carter would hit the middle of the green and would roll off the green.
Yeah.
And we're like, we can't do that.
Yeah, I was back when I was hitting my little low draws, which just were not. You can't hold a green with a low draw.
AP2s from like.
Yeah. And I was not prepared for that. Like, and thankfully because of that event, I was able to kind of develop my game because I was like, okay, I can't hit these low screaming draws into greens on a tour golf course. It just doesn't work. Like, they're not designed like that. So I think it was that semester is when I really tried to like learn how to like hit a cut and really kind of control the ball, move it both ways. Because prior to that, I just kind of hit draws my whole life.
You just focus just trying to get the ball in the hole.
Yeah, just get the ball in the hole. Like,
I feel like that's what you gotta start out with.
And it's crazy, not even 2 months later. What was it, like a month later?
Early September.
I win at VCU.
Yeah. You played really well in the state open that year too.
So I had a good summer that summer as well, and then go and win at VCU, and that kind of solidified it. I was still like, I don't know if I want to play pro golf. Like,
I'm just careering. Maybe I'm just careering it.
And then I win at VCU, and I'm like, wow, like maybe I am good enough to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I shot 13 under. It's like 2 years ago I would have never even thought about shooting 13 under.
Yeah.
I couldn't shoot 13 under on your local muni. Like I just didn't have it in me. And I kind of just figured it out. Really developed my game. The parts that I had previously struggled with, I just started working on those really hard and kind of got more consistent.
Yeah, so. I remember being there. I played as an individual there, and you guys started obviously 1 through 5 the same holes, but the individuals were like I was on the other side of the course, and so I've passed the first and 10th hole where the scoreboard was, maybe 15 holes in or 14 holes in or whatever, and we were in last place, and I was like, what are these guys doing? Like, I was playing pretty well. Like I was maybe like even par 1 under, and I was like, I'm playing pretty well, and I'm like, what are they doing? And then we finished, and I came around, and I couldn't really get a glimpse of the board from the angle it was on. It was kind of on. It was on that hill, like when they had that hill up there before they remodeled the practice area. And I saw like our logo, like in like up, like way up top, like second or third. Or I was like, what did they do? I was like, what happened?
Yeah, so it was a classic, 36-hole shotgun.
Yeah.
We started on like the toughest stretch of the course.
Right.
So like, I mean, all these. That course is, you can go pretty low, but that stretch there kind of in the middle of the front 9 is kind of tough. You kind of just make your pars and move on because, there's plenty of birdie holes.
Right.
So we started on that stretch, and we were in dead last after like 5 holes.
I think I have a picture of it.
And
actually,
then, we got to the easier part of the course, started making birdies, and it all kind of evened back out in the end. But it's just funny, how that works sometimes. Like our coach was kind of freaking out a little bit, looking at golf stats. We're like in last place, losing to some teams that we should not be losing to.
That was too much.
But that was good.
Then even the last round, you whacked one OB, right? You made like a double bogey with like 5 holes left.
Yeah, I made a double bogey. Yeah. So on the 18th hole,
which by the way, the 18th hole is wide open.
How'd you hit it out of bounds? Where is out of bounds on that hole?
Right. Yeah,
it's like
40 yards right of the fairway.
But it was raining. To be fair, it was pouring rain.
Yeah, so it started pouring rain on the 17th green, and I was like, oh crap. And at that time, I think I had maybe a 2-shot lead, and I was playing with the guy who was in second and third. Right. So I knew where I was at the whole time, which was kind of cool. I didn't really have to like look at my phone or anything. It started pouring rain, threw the rain gear on, threw the double rain gloves on, and first swing just 50 yards right of the fairway, like it was out of bounds 80 yards off the tee, not even close. And I'm just like, your head starts racing. You're like, oh my gosh, like what did I just do? I just pumped an OB on a wide open par 5.
Probably the most wide open hole.
One of the most wide open holes on the course.
Yeah.
So I re-tee, hit it in play, make my double. All of a sudden, I'm in. I'm tied. I'm still in first. I'm tied for first, but it's like, wow, I just really momentum. I really gave away almost 2.5 shots. That was a pretty birdieable hole.
Sure.
So you got a little dicey down the stretch, but I had a good par save on number 1, and then was able to birdie 2 and 3. So I had a 2-shot lead going into the last hole.
3 is a phenomenal birdie.
Yeah, like 210-yard par
Yeah.
3.
With a tough green, that's huge and like slopes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I've had a nice 2-shot lead going to the last hole, which is kind of like a drivable par 4, and I made par. The other kid made birdie.
Yeah.
Ended up winning by 1, but
Phenomenal, man.
yeah, no, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That was my first time being like in the heat of contention. You know, which was something I never really experienced before. So it was good to like get it done.
Sure.
You know, for a second there, I thought I was like crumbling
under
pressure. Like on 18, I was like, oh my goodness, the first time I'm ever in
Just
contention.
choking
Oh my
away.
god, I'm just choking. But I was able to grind it out and somehow get it done. But yeah, that tournament was really when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm playing. Like I'm gonna try to play at the next level.
And I think it's important too. Like even if you would have maybe not won or quote unquote choked it, the only way you're going to get better in that situation is by putting yourself in that situation. So I think even though you were able to have like success and really boost that confidence, even if you weren't, or for someone out there listening, maybe like the only way you get better at that is putting yourself in that situation. So it's like,
yeah, and after that tournament, I was able to, for the first time in my life, kind of feel comfortable in the hunt.
yeah,
right. So like I had never really been in contention, but maybe once or twice for a tournament.
Yeah.
And I felt like after that, it was like almost every other tournament, I was in like top 15, top 10 area to where like, if I did string together 2 or 3 birdies, I was right there. So it kind of gave me the confidence to, feel more comfortable in contention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the only way to gain that experience is to put yourself in that position. Same as like if you want to get better at tournament golf, you just keep playing tournament golf. That's the only way.
You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. That's the only it's the only way you're going to get better at anything in life is if you make yourself uncomfortable.
And the first time you do it, like you might mess up. Like we're all pretty bad. First time we started playing golf, we were all bad.
And plenty of people. I mean, guys on tour. I mean, they'll have a 3-shot lead, and you know, that's golf.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can be on the top of the moon, playing as good as you can, and then just all of a sudden make a triple bogey like out of nowhere. I mean, that's just how golf is.
So from all that experience from college golf and winning 2 events, how did that transition to your professional career right now in golf?
Yeah, it helped. For pro golf, I thought I knew kind of what I was getting myself into. You don't truly know what you're getting yourself into until you do it. I heard from everybody, it's really expensive. You're on your own. Like,
pretty much.
There's no coach, no one's planning travel or anything. So that was the biggest shock for me. Was like, oh my gosh, I have to book my hotels. I gotta plan my flights. I gotta budget. Like, I'd never budgeted before, so I have like Excel spreadsheets and everything. But
yeah, because I guess during college golf, coach takes care of that.
Yeah. You're taken care of. You just kind of show up and you play golf and for free.
He gives us balls, gloves, everything you need.
People don't realize how great college golf is until you leave college golf and you got to pay for all that stuff. So, I turned pro in May of 2021. Literally like the day after our conference tournament, because we had the U.S. Open qualifier. So that was my first professional round. Didn't make it through as planned, but it was cool. Play my first round as a professional.
Definitely.
I worked as an assistant pro, kind of all summer, all fall. I didn't work a ton, working like 30, 35 hours a week. Give myself time to practice. I really just kind of wanted to like make some money before I really like got into it. So that was kind of what that was for. But I played a few events, played a couple little one-day events, played some on the G Pro Tour.
You won a one-day event, right?
I did, yeah. I won a Coastal Players Tour event.
How was that experience? What did you gain from that?
Well, $800. But I made $800, which was like, I was really.
Did you get to keep the big check? Did they give you?
No, it was like a dry erase check.
Damn.
That's nice.
But I got paid in cash right then and there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wondered how that worked because I've never played professional golf. I'm like, how do they do it?
It's like I think anything over like 1,000 has to be like a check. But anything under 1,000 they can like do cash.
Or a bank deposit.
Or something like that. Or I've gotten paid in Venmo before from like these like
really?
the little small like one day events. Like it's basically organized gambling. Like it's not you get 20, you just get 20, 25 guys. They all throw in $200 and you just play for it.
Yeah.
So, and then the tournament director will just Venmo whoever wins. Like,
That's funny.
It's pretty funny.
That's funny.
But then I played on the G Pro Tour, which is, if you don't know, it's probably the best mini tour in like the Southeast.
Yeah.
It is close to tour golf as you're really gonna get. And it's it's open to everybody. You don't have to do like Q school or anything, which is great because I didn't have the money for Q school, so
It's just pay to play.
yeah, just pay to play.
How are the courses?
Yeah, they're okay. We Gary, the guy Gary, I can't think of his last name, but Gary on the G Pro Tour, the guy that runs it, he usually gets some pretty solid courses.
Yeah.
All of them were fine.
I wonder because I remember playing junior events. The cheapest events would just be at the worst golf courses, and I don't know, like.
They're at like mid-tier
Yeah.
golf courses.
Right.
Like they're nothing nothing special, but like they're still pretty good.
Solid,
Yeah. I mean
Okay.
they're still pretty good.
Are the greens fair though, like puttable? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
they are. For like the one-day events though, like
Hit or
you'll
miss.
Sketchy?
You play some dumps.
Right.
Yeah, you play some like greens that are rolling 8 and bumpy
Oh.
and yeah.
And you did pretty well at your first fall season on the G Pro, right? Would you
Yeah,
say?
learned a lot. It was a good learning experience. I
Made
played
a cut.
4 events. I missed my first 3 cuts. And then in my 4th event, top 10. So
Wow.
like
Yeah, that was
played
awesome.
played really well in my last
How much
event.
did you make?
About $2,000.
Damn.
Yeah,
How'd they
so-
cut that one? Venmo?
That was actually direct deposit the next
Yeah,
day.
bank
It was pretty
transfer.
cool, yeah.
And you just saw $2,000 on there.
Yeah, just in my
Damn,
bank.
that's crazy.
So that's good,
Yeah.
when I have way more than that in expenses for the fall. So like that
Right.
was good
Yeah,
to kind of like
needed that.
offset some of those expenses. But
So did you, when you're getting yourself into professional golf, did you know about all these expenses? Did you know how expensive it was going to be, or?
vaguely, I did. I had a friend of mine who, when I was still in college, was doing what I'm doing now. Sent me some budgets and kind of like mentored me a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of told me like what to expect, like what hotels to stay in, like
Kinda how to do
when to
it.
fly, when to drive.
Yeah.
Just how to kind of live the life. But as I said, it's like you never really know.
Yeah, you're pretty much on
You
your
never
own.
really truly know until you start doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And there's
when you
no
gotta
there's no guide or thing you can Google and say like how
There's
to play pro golf.
does
Like,
not exist.
yeah, it's just kind of
does
you
not
just hear from different people
Yeah.
and try and
And
figure out
I'm
your own.
I'm still learning. Like some players that have some better resumes are fortunate enough to get into some management agencies and stuff like that, where they have people kind of like telling them what to do.
Or they get club deals or
Club
other
deals,
sponsorships.
yeah. So I mean, that stuff's kind of hard to come by. You gotta, everybody's trying to get to that.
Yeah.
Some people get to that sooner than others, but
Right.
that's the ultimate goal is to get to that point. But as of right now, I'm still kind of just doing it on my own, which is fine. I'm making it work.
Yeah. And how are you funding this?
I'm just self-funding it.
Yeah.
Between savings,
Working.
yeah, I'm working part-time now. I'm transitioning more into like 2022. I'm going like full time for
Yeah.
pro golf. Last year was more just like kind of dip my toes in, see how I do, see if this is what I really want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm working over at the Princess Anne over in Virginia Beach, just part-time.
Great course.
Great course, great facility,
Yeah.
really good location. And then like the head pro over there, he's been really helpful. Like he's behind me 100% in what I'm doing. So
That's good. I think that's what you need.
Yeah.
Someone, I guess, pushing you and supporting you, other than your family.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like my family doesn't even know what like the heck I'm doing really. Like they just like I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to Florida. They're like, oh, what are you going to Florida for? I don't know, pro golf. She's like, and my mom's like, oh, okay.
So you just recently signed up for Q School.
Yeah, just registered for my first Q School, Mackenzie Tour. If you don't know, it's PGA Tour Canada. It's one of the feeder tours into the Corn Ferry Tour. So
Okay, then where's that at? Where's your qualifying?
yeah, so my
area?
site assignment, I got Mission Inn down in Orlando, which was my first choice.
Yep.
It's in like second week of March.
So you're doing anything differently to practice for that? Are you playing other events leading up to that?
Yeah, so I'm planning on heading down south to Florida around the beginning of February. Gonna be down there staying with a friend for 5 weeks or so. Planning on playing 2 or 3 mini tour events.
Yeah.
get down in the warm weather, be able to play in shorts and short sleeves.
Sure.
And Bermuda.
Bermuda, yeah, that's a huge thing.
I hate that grass.
In Virginia, there's not a whole lot of, most of the greens are bent, so getting down and putting on Bermuda's big. It's a lot different. But, just trying to get some tournament reps because, the last tournament I played was middle of November.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
I haven't played a tournament round in 2 months, just about.
Mm-hmm.
So, planning on trying to hopefully play 5 or 6 competitive rounds before Q school. So.
Yeah. And knowing what you know now, I guess, about the pro golf process, would you have changed, like, kind of maybe what you did in college or how you practiced, or maybe would you have changed anything, you think?
100%. Yeah. So, like, the way I practiced in college is completely different to the way I practice now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is where I like to talk about quality over quantity, right? You don't necessarily need to sit there for 5 hours a day on the range and just beat balls.
Because you already got your fundamentals. It's not like
it's like at this point, like, we're all good.
Yeah.
It's more... I can't stress this enough. It's short game. Like, it's cliche, but, like, at this level, that's the difference maker. Everybody can hit a drive 290 down the middle. Like, everybody can hit a 7-iron from 175 onto the green. Like, everyone can do that.
Yeah.
The difference is, can you hold that 10-footer for birdie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
6 out of 10 times compared to 4 out of 10 times.
Did you see that a lot when you played professional golf events?
Yes. So I was fortunate enough. So they kind of pair you on the G Pro Tour based on merit, like kind of how you do. And I was a newbie, so first 3 events
hackers
didn't get. They
were not hackers. I guess they're
like,
not hackers, but they.
I didn't play with anyone who made the cut until my 4th event.
Right.
So my first 3 events, myself included, and my entire group, none of us made the cut at either 3 events. So like, I didn't get to truly kind of like watch and see what it takes to make a cut, right? So then when I get to my 4th event, I was fortunate enough to play with 2 very good players. One of which, she was on the Corn Ferry Tour right now. AJ Crouch. He got to watch him shoot 10 under.
Damn.
On the second round, and like made it look pretty easy. It wasn't like he was holing bombs. He was just hitting it to 10, 15 feet and just kind of like holing a lot of 12 footers. Putts that you can make. He just might make a couple extra.
Yeah.
It's not a huge difference, right? Like
it's
not. Really grinding in. I would say 6 to 15 feet.
Yeah.
So 90% of the time when I practice putting, it is from like 5 or 6 feet to 15 feet.
Yeah.
Because, those are really the ones where those are your good birdie looks.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you got to make.
It's not like you're gonna sit in the practice putting green, practice holing 50 footers.
Because that's just not gonna happen.
Right.
Like if you hole 150 footer per week, like that's great. Like whatever. From 50 feet, you're just trying to get it close.
There's probably no correlation between that and practicing.
If you hit it to 50 feet every time, you're probably not gonna make a cut. You're probably not making the cut if you hit it to 50 feet unless it's like a par 5.
Yeah.
Probably should be on the range.
Yeah, exactly. You should be on the range hitting some irons. But biggest difference, is like the way I practice. Way more short game and putting now than I did in college, and a little less playing on the course.
Interesting.
You got to find that balance, and that balance is different for everyone. But I was a very big proponent of just playing holes all the time, like almost kind of neglecting practice a little bit in college.
I feel like when you're younger, though, especially, I feel like I didn't play enough when I was younger. But when you're younger, like, playing and just figuring out how to get the ball in the hole is the most important. But like you said, now you're at the level now that it comes down to more like, the putter and
you got to be nitpicky.
Mental. Yeah.
Like you got to be really nitpicky, right?
And you got to know all your stats, you got to know your percentages, you have to know like where you're losing strokes and where to get
I'll
better.
track back to the whole, playing all the time. Yeah. Playing all the time is really, really, really good, and I would suggest that people to do that when they're in middle school, high school.
If you had to pick playing all the time or just beating balls all day, playing all the time is probably going to be better for you.
You have to learn how to shoot a score first. First and foremost, you got to learn how to shoot under par, right? And the only way you're going to learn how to shoot under par is by playing tons of golf.
Yeah.
Over time, you just kind of figure it out, right? Yeah. Trial and error. But at this level, everyone can shoot. Everyone can shoot 8, 9 under on any given day, right?
Sure.
So like, it's not as much about playing holes all the time. It necessarily is now. It's like, okay, I need to start just like grinding on my stroke or like just working on my pitching and chipping and bunker play. It's like the stuff like that, Whereas, to give you an example, like, you know, in college, you hit it into a bunker, like on a par 5, you know, but, you know, I don't know, I feel like more times than not, you're probably just going to make par instead of birdie, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Whereas, like, at this level, dude, like, these guys make birdie out of a greenside bunker, like, 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they're inside of 5 feet every shot.
So they might purposely hit it in the bunker on the
Yeah,
second
yeah,
shot.
oh yeah, absolutely. In some courses, like the bunker shots, you know, especially down south, you get a lot of those like tight runoffs with the Bermuda. Like you would much rather be hitting out of a bunker than you know, some tight into the grain Bermuda lie.
Sure.
So like stuff like that is like, it's like, wow, I really need to work on my bunker play. Like me hitting a bunker shot to 10 feet, it's no longer good anymore.
No.
Like my coach in college may think that's good, but like that's not good anymore, right?
And another thing I guess that pops up would be course management. What you said, like those guys are aiming for that bunker to have an easier shot than having to run off the green and then chip it.
Yeah.
So
Strategy's big. I would say in practice rounds in college, I kind of just went out there and just
it was fun. It was enjoyable.
It was more
when
like
we
fun.
when we did it, we were just mucking around. We were just doing whatever. We were
Toss
enjoying
little
our
frisbee
time.
holes and stuff.
Yeah, just whack it around. You know, play a little birdie game, whatever. You're playing with 4 other guys.
and there
You just
wasn't
kinda-
really
And it's
any.
a 6.5 hour round.
Yeah,
too.
and there wasn't really any purpose to it. It was more just go out there, see the course, so we're not out there blinded the next day.
Yeah, so the thing, that's the thing I learned playing like some practice rounds on the G Pro Tour is like these guys are, I mean, like in practice rounds, you know, they're all in on the practice rounds. The practice rounds no longer really as fun, like it's work, right?
Nothing
you
they
gotta,
do is by accident.
You're charting, you're walking everything off, you're charting where all the pins are, you know, you're hitting way more shots around the greens, you know, you might hit a couple shots off the tee, because, you know, depending on the wind, you might be hitting, you know, driver compared to 3-wood or vice versa, you know. There's a lot more strategy going on, because at the end of the day, it's like, you got to figure out, like, you can't really make a lot of bogeys in pro golf, right? Like, these guys that are winning these events, they're going 54 holes and making, like, 2 bogeys.
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone can make birdies. It's really just about, like, who's making the least amount of bogeys.
Yeah, limiting your, I guess, errors.
So, I kind of learned that after the first 3 events, and I played well in a Pro-Am about 2 weeks before Savannah. Played well there, and kind of, it was like a tough day, tough conditions, and I kind of just almost just played like super conservative. It was just like, let me just hit as many greens as I possibly can. Like, you know, I'm not gonna 3-putt 5 or 6 times. Just hit as many greens as I can, and
when I think when I was playing golf, sometimes I would just play boring golf, and that made me more consistent. I mean, I wasn't shooting.
Boring golf pays the bills, man.
Yeah, I
like,
wasn't.
You don't.
Yeah, I wasn't shooting 5 under par. I was shooting around par, but it was just consistent.
I think I read a stat the other day. I think it was about like if you shot even par on the PGA Tour like every round last year, maybe it was like 2019 season. You qualified for like the FedEx Cup and like you made money, like you made a living, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Because some of the cuts are 4 under, but some of them are like 1 over even.
Yeah, boring. I mean, dude, boring golf. Like I said, boring golf pays the bills. Like it's, you know, when I played in Savannah, I shot 8 under for 3 rounds, and it was very boring. Very boring. Hitting 12, 13 fairways around, 15, 16 greens around. You know, at that point, it's like you don't even really have to hole that many putts to shoot 4 under, 5 under. It's just you just kind of make a couple, you birdie your par 5s.
I guess that's another thing why like playing so many pro events, you end up knowing like when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, because you can go out there and be aggressive every hole, and then just end up shooting over par.
Yeah. There's probably no more like, par 5 and 2 from 275, and it's 270 to carry the water, and you hit a 3-wood 271 yards.
So this
like it's a there's no more 1 in 10 shots.
Coach is gonna really love if he hears this. What I'm about to say is I lay up way more on par 5s, and it's not like I'm scared. It's like I'm good from 75 yards. So like, you know. In a lot of these par 5s, they got a lot of trouble around the green. So you may have 235 into a par 5, but it's a skinny little green with water on the left, and like if you miss right, you're kind of screwed because it's a
hard up and down.
It's like so down in Savannah, what I did a lot was like I would just hit the ball up there like 20, 30 yards short of the green. Right? Give myself a little 20, 30 yard pitch. You kind of eliminate the trouble, and if I'm pitching it well that week, like I'm gonna hit it pretty close and I'm gonna make a birdie. So
That's makeable too.
I
20
think I was
yards,
like second in the field in par 5 scoring. I think I was like 9
Yeah.
under.
That's
And I think I only hit 1 par 5 and 2.
Yeah.
So it was like eight of them were 1 putts.
During college, I think like the amount of greens I've hit into on a par 5, I think I would 3-putt them all because I would just be so far away from the hole anyways, and I would 3-putt make par.
No, I mean, yeah, like it's true.
Just,
it's almost like if you have that distance that you hit it, you know, like you're a big hitter, you can take advantage of it. But just because you could reach the green maybe from 240 yards with, you know, a 2-iron or something, doesn't necessarily mean that's like playing to your strengths.
Yeah.
So then like back into the practice rounds, it's like I'm planning these things out, you know, the day before the event, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And like even the week before the event, I'm going on Google Earth and like mapping everything out, like figuring out like how far it is to this bunker and what's the carry to this bunker. So I have kind of like a general idea before I even get down there.
Now you have to think about it. When you're a professional golfer, it's your job now. During college, it was just like a thing you did. It was just fun. It was just an activity. But now when you have to make cuts to pay for that trip, you got to think about it more differently than in college.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to say probably the biggest mistake I made when I first turned pro was thinking about money all the time.
Yeah,
you can't think about money, right?
I can see
and it's so hard when events cost $1,000.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, if I play bad, I just lost $1,000, right?
Yeah.
But you just can't do that. You just got to think about the task at hand. You got to put the money aside and just say, all right, let's just go play some good golf. You know, it's just like college again. Like let's go play some good golf.
Right.
Let's hit our spots, hit our shots. And
I can see how that can get mental because, I mean, $1,000 and like $1, that doesn't change the golf course that you're playing on.
Yeah.
So I guess it is mental in a way to where you just have to go out there and just hit the ball normally.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Because you're like literally, because like one of our mentors tells us all the time, like you are a business. Like you are a business, so you're responsible for marketing yourself. And when you're investing, that's $1,000 to play, but you're investing $1,000 into your business basically.
Yeah.
So the more you're not going to be able to build it unless you invest. So it's
but I can see a lot of professional golfers just think about the money and how much money they could win to where it's gonna hurt them when they play golf because all they think about is the money.
You're not gonna make it very far if you're thinking about money all the time, right? And you know, obviously, everyone wants to get into the situation where they got like backers and sponsors and whatever, and they don't like have like obviously if you're on the PGA Tour and you're making cuts every week, like you don't have to think about the money as much really. Like it's you still do. It's still expensive to travel and stuff, but it's like, you know, they're playing for way more money than we are on the G Pro Tour. It's like even if you're making cuts on the G Pro Tour, like you're barely covering your expenses, right? You're just trying to make enough money to keep going, right? And get that experience to where you can go to Q school, apply that experience, and then get a tour card.
Yeah.
That's the goal of like mini tour golf.
Because I can see professional golfers just going to Q school and not playing good, but they didn't do all these other events to help them prepare for that situation.
Exactly. You have to invest in yourself. That's what I realized a lot too as well. Like I was kind of overly frugal when I first started. And you can't, like, yes, you have to think about your spending. You can't spend money on stupid things, but you still have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Like I started personal training this winter. You know, that's something that 6 months ago I would have never done because I would have looked at it and be like, oh, you know, I got to pay this amount of money per month just to have someone like help me work out. Like, oh, that's not worth it.
And I think that's another thing for any professional athlete out there. It's like how you become better at something is also, for a golf example, off the course things you do. So what you eat and how you train yourself is gonna make your golf better, even though it's not directly involved with golf. Right. I think it still does help you in a way.
Yeah, like how are you wiring your subconscious? Like, do you have good relationship with people? Do you like your friends? Maybe your romantic relationship? Like, is that taking your energy? Parents? Like, there's so much stuff that goes into it.
Because I know a lot of, when I was playing college golf, I knew a lot of kids that would have issues off the course and they'll play bad. But then when their off course issues are good, you play better. And there was just so many examples of that I saw. So I guess balancing both of them, like having a good off course relationship with, I guess, everything and solving all your issues is going to help you play better golf. And that could be in any sport, not just golf.
And that being said, you know, obviously everyone knows golf is an extremely mental game. It can, you know, You can be high up here. You can be low. Like, you know, you have days where no one's immune. Like, you have days where you're just like, I never want to play golf ever again, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like 2 weeks later, you shoot a 65.
This is
You're
great.
like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But it's like
I remember feeling
you
like
gotta.
that,
It's
Like-
easier said than done. But you gotta try to like manage
Stay
those
level.
ebbs and flows of golf because there's always gonna be ups and downs. Like, no, like Justin Thomas, like Jordan Spieth. Like you just saw Jordan Spieth the last couple of years. Like, you know, he was kind of struggling with his game, but like, you know, I'm sure he was grinding like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, those guys grind too, right?
Yep.
You gotta keep with it, stick with it, and you know that what you're doing in the long run is gonna pay off, regardless if you end up playing professionally, you know, for a living for the rest of your life or not. Like, even if you don't, doing these things will make you a better person and help prepare you for whatever you know life throws your way, right?
Yeah, I think that's very important too.
Whether you start working, you know, a job, you quit, whether you like stop playing professional golf, you
Sure.
go into a job and have a family and stuff, like
Start a business.
yeah, start a business, like being regimented and taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, like that stuff will pay dividends later on in life that people don't realize that, right?
Yeah.
So like you need to, like, for example, I went through a really rough like mental patch. Trying to think, it was like end of September into October. I kind of had a rough go with pro golf. Like it just wasn't panning out kind of like I wanted.
Missed 3 cuts in a row. Like you
Yeah,
said.
and like my first 2 cuts, like
not close.
not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, oh my goodness, like, you know, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
and I was kind of a head case. I actually pulled out of an event to like just. I took like a 2-week break, like a mental break. You know, I pulled out of an event.
Oh, I
and
remember that.
that was the best decision I ever did. You know, some people may look at that decision and say, you're a quitter, right? Like you're pulling out of an event because you're a quitter. But like, no, it's like, I know it's best for me. I was not in a good mental state to play professional golf right then and there. So I took my little break, you know, took 4 or 5 days off and didn't even touch a golf club.
Yeah.
Then got back out of the course, just started playing for fun and, you know, started shooting some better scores again. Like sometimes you just need to take a little. You got to take care of your mind as well as your body, and people don't realize that. Like you may need to take a little break.
You need to just reset yourself because that happened to me playing college golf. We played so much golf that I just got sick of it, and I'm like, I need a break. So I didn't touch a club for a while. Then after that, you I guess gain that love again. That's happened to me right now. Before I was sick of it. But now for the last two months, I've been bugging Mike. Let's go play golf. I want to play golf. I just want to play golf. But then I know I'm gonna get out there and shoot bad and be like, all right, that's enough. That's enough for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but to your point, like if you knew you're not gonna put your all into that, there's no point in playing. Like, why are you gonna invest your money if you know, like, you know, you're not in a good spot?
Why am I gonna spend $1,500?
Travel
to
play.
go and miss the cut by 10 because I'm in a terrible mental state, right? Like, and it's so funny, you know. I took that little break, and I signed up for one of those little 1 days because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna I'll go play that. It's less expensive. We'll see where my game's at.
Yeah.
Finish second.
Right.
Like you know, at those events you pretty much have to win to make any money. But like,
sure.
I covered my expenses.
Good,
It was cool. It was good to play like a good round of golf, and I was like, okay, I still got it, right?
Yeah. And to the point about the mental, like, do you do anything for the mental aspect of the game? Do you like maybe read certain books or have a coach or anything like that, or is it just kind of as you go?
Yeah,
YouTube
I mean,
videos,
it's kind of up to each person. I've thought about seeing like a mental
The head doctor.
I mean, like.
No,
like
I've worked with one before. It was
like
phenomenal.
a
I learned
mental,
ton.
like a sports psychologist, right? Like someone, you know, those people are very talented and like they know what they're doing, right? They know what to say at the right time, and they've, you know, I guarantee you, whatever you're going through, they've seen it before, right?
Yeah.
So
because I think it's all the same. Like when what happened to me during college golf is that I just got burnt out. When you play that much consecutively, you just get burnt out. Then I needed that break, and then it just created my, I guess, love for golf again. And then I was like, let's keep going with golf. But
Yeah.
I can see that.
Interesting. I don't know. I just up to the person. I'm just wondering. I know I've read like a lot of Dr. Bob Rotella. A lot of his books. They're great. I love those. Would totally recommend those.
I listen to Dr. Bob Rotella's audiobooks all the time. So like when you say, do you see anyone like I listen to Dr. Bob Rotella.
Yeah,
like I buy his audiobooks, and phenomenal. When I'm driving to Georgia and Florida or whatever on these long drives, like I just listen to him. Right?
Yeah, he's coach's buddy. You know that?
Oh yeah.
He gave me a couple of books with his autograph.
He lives he's up in Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. He's based out of Virginia.
Yeah.
But I think any like professional athlete, I think goes through something like what you just said, Carter, that helps them, I guess, bounce back up again. Because I know at the lowest lows, that's where you, I guess, are going to improve the most. Because maybe you needed that to push yourself even more.
Yeah, you find out a lot about yourself when you're in those like negative states, right? And being in those negative states, obviously, it's up to you how you choose to let that affect you, right? You can let it affect you in a negative manner, or, you can say, all right, I'm going to do something about this. Like, I'm not going to let this moment define me, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's something I really, really struggled with, like in high school and even like early college. Like I was kind of a hothead, I would, I'd get really angry on the golf course. And as I said, no one's immune to that. Like everyone gets in that little spiral where you're just like, you do some crazy stuff.
And I feel like this just happens in golf.
It's such a mental game, and it's like how good you are, what you're capable of, and then sometimes you feel like you're putting in all the work and you're getting nothing out of it, and that's very, very frustrating.
And then when you don't put any work and you see someone else over there doing absolutely nothing, and then playing their good golf, you're like, how's that fair, and all this stuff. And it's just very mental, and it's just an individual sport that you're playing. It's like, as people say, you play golf in between your ears.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Just taking care of my mind as well as my body, right?
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with good people who are going to push you, You don't need to be around people who are,
losers,
negative, and, people who aren't like driven and stuff. So I try to kind of, associate myself with high driven people.
Yeah. Like, because a perfect example, if you hang around 5 other drug dealers, you're going to be the 6th one.
Correct. That's a really good lesson. I mean, for anyone listening, like if you're in high school and stuff, I mean, I see this a lot in high school. You get kids who are like super talented. They just get kind of caught up with the wrong group of friends, and you get caught up with some friends who might, they just might see life differently than you, and you kind of like go down that path. It's really important, kind of like who you associate yourself with. Yeah,
because when I transferred, I didn't change how I practiced, but I got better because I was just hanging around better golfers.
Yeah, it was the same way for me. I mean, you get around guys who are shooting under par all the time. You're going to start shooting under par all the time. Yeah. And it's kind of the same way in pro golf. I feel like now, like after playing professionally for 6-7 months, it's like, all right, I just got to keep putting myself around people who shoot 10 under, and I'm going to start shooting 10 under. Like, maybe not 10 under, but
Sure. So what would you say, I guess, just maybe to wrap it up a little bit, what would you say to someone, who's, because I feel like most guys, at least if you're playing the college level, they have some aspiration of pursuing professional golf, and I feel like most of them don't really know that much, obviously, what the process. Hopefully, maybe if you're listening, learn a little bit more about it today. But what would you give maybe advice to someone that wants to do it, and like what would you say some of the most important things are that they need to know?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to reach out to someone who is either currently doing it or has done it, right?
Yeah.
So, or your coaches. Your coaches may kind of know, like, depending on what program you're at, you may be at a program where, lots of guys go to the tour,
Sure,
right?
Right.
But I would say try to find someone from your state. Obviously people are going to try to help each other out, right?
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to kind of make a relationship with a couple guys who have played on tour, who have kind of helped me learn a lot about that stuff. And don't be afraid to just reach out to people through social media either. Like a lot of times these guys will, if you DM them asking them a question, they'll respond, right?
Yeah.
The golf community is very small.
Yeah. Right.
Very tight knit. Golf is one of those sports where like guys are going to help each other out.
Yeah,
regardless. So like, don't be afraid to just reach out to social media. Like, there may be like a local Corn Ferry Tour guy that you're like, oh, he'll never respond to me. Like, reach out to him. Like, ask him some questions. He may help you out.
Yeah.
So.
The biggest thing I saw in golf is like when you travel to tournaments, you always share rooms with other golfers.
Yeah.
It's just how it was. I remember junior golf. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So at Carter Morgan Golf, if you want to reach out.
A
question.
Yeah, at Carter Morgan Golf
on Instagram.
Hit
him up.
Yeah, if you have any questions, shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to either get a phone call or a FaceTime or anything with you guys. So
that's awesome.
Any way that I can help y'all out. As I said, I'm still learning, but if I can help transfer some of my knowledge to you all, I'm willing to help.
That's awesome because everyone has their own journey, and your story might help someone else who's listening.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think too, it's tough. Like, it's not easy. Like, you have to want it.
Yeah, you gotta figure out what you want first and foremost. Figure out what you want, and then put yourself around the right people. Make sure you ask questions. Worst thing anybody can say to you is no.
Sure.
So
but you gotta put in the work because 1 or 2 under par, like, and your college maybe tracks around, fun around, like, that doesn't cut it. Like, those guys are like at the pro level. Guys are good. Like the PJ, that's the biggest thing that I saw. I was like, man, like, these guys are good. So like, if you want to do it, you gotta really align your actions with your words and really put in the work for it.
Just like on the PJ Tour, like last week in Hawaii, they shot 35, 34 under
34, I think.
for 4 rounds. Like, if I had to make that many birdies in 72 holes and at the shortest golf course, I don't think I can make that many birdies.
I don't think I can make them.
Even if it's like a
putts.
Yeah, you
like
really
pitch and putt,
you gotta be comfortable being under par for sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so that's it. Thanks, Carter, for letting us speak, and
thanks for coming on. We'll hope that we'll catch up with you soon later, and we're looking forward to being there with you at Q School.
Yep, and hopefully in a couple of months you'll be on tour, then we can interview you again and spread more knowledge about professional golf and how hard it is, and just all the life experience you're going to learn from it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on for sure, and hopefully I can help y'all out in any way possible. So don't be afraid to reach out.
You too.
All right, sweet.